Hello and welcome back to the One Take Show podcast. My name is Kaustubh. In this episode, we are in conversation with Mr. Shantanu Anam. I cannot tell you how excited I am to bring to you this amazing conversation. I've been laughing throughout this episode. Also, I've spoken to Mr. Anam for just one time, but it feels like I've known him for ages. He's a brilliant actor. He's a wonderful writer. He's been a part to an amazing web series called Baked, to which he hints that there is a third season sort of a thing coming out really soon. He's a writer to an amazing web series called PariWar, which is out now on Disney Hotstar. He has previously acted in a cameo role in a brilliant movie called Mantra. He's been a part to some of the most popular videos from AIB and other such studios. In this episode, he talks about his journey, his experiences. He talks about all the various changes in the landscape of writing and acting and much more. I'm 100% sure you would love this episode, so please remember to like, share and subscribe to the channel. If you have any suggestions or feedbacks, write them down in the comment section. I would love to read them. Also, this episode features some strong language, so viewer discretion is advised. Hence, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's jump right in. Hello, sir. Welcome to the One Take Show. This is a huge fan moment for me, and I'll tell you why. The first season of Baked, first episode, entry of Shantanu sir, first dialogue, "Where the fuck is my pizza?" That has been the most iconic sort of an entry point for me, especially when web series was not even a thing. That was the point when Baked became this huge phenomenon. I'm so excited to have this opportunity to speak to you. Thank you so much for taking time off your really busy schedule, sitting down with me.
Thank you so much, Kaustubh, and I feel like the busyness of my schedule is definitely overrated.
Okay.
This is, if at all, just interrupting my afternoon nap. Or kuch nahi. Don't worry about it. But thank you. I really like it. I'm glad that there are fans of Baked that are still there and waiting for it, because there is, I'm not allowed to speak about it, but there is some very good news that I will tell you once we stop recording. A very recent future that is
Perfect.
that is going to happen.
Perfect. That was one of my first questions to you, like Baked season 1, season 2. Now, like for our audience, for our listeners, is there something that you can tell us what is going to happen?
I'm saying that there is something. It's ready and it's going to come out soon. It's ready.
Perfect.
It's coming out soon and it's going to come out at a nice place also.
Perfect. But as you talk about your lockdown schedule, I think I am rather inspired by these new projects that have now come out, PariWar, and the incredible cast that we have in PariWar. I mean, I'm obviously sort of in all awe with respect to the kind of storyline that is being developed around here, which only allows me to go a little back to understand how it all really started. Because what I know about you is that from Delhi University, this is a rather kind of a career trajectory shift that you've had. So could you please tell us a little bit about how it all started, what all inspired you?
I actually did a lot of theatre when I was doing my undergrad in DU. And actually, DU ke pehle I got into an engineering college called VIT, Vellore Institute of Technology. वहाँ पे मेरे को electronics and communication engineering मिली थी. तो वहाँ मैं EC कर रहा था. And about a year or so into it, I was doing theatre वगैरह, but I wasn't really doing well at studies. Like obviously second year चले गया था, but I was like, I'm not good at this. So then I decided to leave. I came back and I didn't, because I was weak at science and boards पे ध्यान वैसे भी नहीं देते engineering prep वाले लड़के. I did badly in my boards. Like I had a 70 odd, which is not bad, I guess. I mean, अगर बड़े मैक्रोस्कोपिक लेवल पे देखा जाए, which is not bad क्योंकि लोग फेल भी होते हैं, तो 70 ठीक है. 100 में से 70 आ गए थे, but that doesn't get you into a good Delhi University college. So I came back and I did all the extracurricular activity, कोटा के जो एग्जाम्स या टेस्ट जो भी बोलोगे उन्हें होते, जो अभी अबॉलिश करने की कोशिश कर रही है दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी, जो भी बोलना चाहिए अभी जरूरी, जो काफी घटिया चीज है, क्योंकि जो there are a lot of students who deserve to study in good colleges based on things other than marks, and I was
True.
fortunate enough not
Absolutely.
to act and get into college, but
Okay.
I debated, and I got in through the debate society quota
Mm-hmm.
into a college called Shri Venkateshwara
Mm-hmm.
College, and they had and then I became a bit of a दल बदलू. मैं घुसा
Okay.
कॉलेज में और मैंने देखा कि डिबेट से
Mm-hmm.
बेहतर तो ड्रामेटिक्स लग रहा है मेरे को शायद
Okay.
ड्रामेटिक्स करना चाहिए. मैंने डिबेट सोसाइटी पर ज्वाइन ही नहीं किया इवेंचुअली. मतलब उनके पार्टीज में जाता था लेकिन
Okay.
उनके साथ पार्टिसिपेट कहीं नहीं करता था.
Right.
Then I joined the dramatic society, started doing acting there.
Mm-hmm.
Then I decided to do it seriously, so I went and studied acting at a
Okay.
place called Lee Strasberg Method Acting Institute. It's in
Mm-hmm.
California.
Mm-hmm.
I went and studied method acting there. I did an intense 4-month program. That's all.
Yeah.
I came back, started doing theater, uh, and then I was just doing sort of theater in Delhi.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't moving to Bombay. यहीं पे था. I worked a couple of jobs, thinking कि along with theater I can sort of try and do some other stuff. So I worked uh, at an ad agency, Grey Worldwide, which was okay,
Okay.
but I didn't. It wasn't for me. Then
Mm-hmm.
I worked as a writer, producer, and a VO artist for Hit 95 FM, जो उन
Okay.
दिनों सिर्फ एक चैनल था जो अंग्रेजी गाने में चलाता था
Okay.
दिल्ली में.
Uh-huh.
घटिया नौकरी थी, बहुत ही गंदी कंपनी थी. मेरे बहुत ही बुद्धू लोग, एक नंबर के. मैं इनफैक्ट मेरे निकलते ही वो शायद 1 महीने में बंद भी हो गई थी. तो आई एम श्योर इट हैड टू डू विद द फैक्ट कि उनके पास पैसे नहीं थे कि इतने एंड और अजीब वर्क
Yeah.
एनवायरनमेंट में था मैं.
Mm-hmm.
बट वहां से मैं निकला,
Mm-hmm.
फिर मैंने बेट कर लिया. Because the people I was doing
Okay.
theater with, someone had seen me in a play, and a friend of mine, Vishwa Joy, who is also a debater from the
Mm-hmm.
Delhi University scene, he saw me in a play, and then he decided that he wanted to make a web show with Akash Mehta, who had also done a play with,
Mm-hmm.
and they before they had written the script had a character in mind, and they were like, "Isko to banana hi hai wo." So
Oh.
even before they wrote the first page of whatever bit, they knew I was going to play on it. So I did
Perfect.
really have to audition.
I think that was absolutely a perfect casting with respect to how it all settled down. Although I'm rather, in a space because I had the opportunity of spending 1 year in Kirodimal College before I moved to law school, and being like associated with the DebSoc for a couple of months, we were always very fascinated with the players, the dramatic society that Kirodimal had, and to listen about this from
Very
you,
good.
it's all really somehow like very inspirational in a way that you could
अरे
really identify.
Kirodimal के तो इतने. We have a DOP. We've had so many actors in the baked cast who've been from Kirodimal. We've had, I think, one of our DOPs is also from there. We've had a lot of people associated with Kirodimal who have been players. Is in fact, I would say the best in terms of work ethic. They are the best. I mean, बोलना तो मुझे वेंकी चाहिए क्योंकि हम भी बहुत अच्छे हैं.
No doubt.
Players is very good, यार. That Mr. Keval Arora has really sort of revolutionized the theatre culture of that college.
Right. True. Like someone who spent like a mega 3-4 months in the college, to know Keval sir's name itself, I think speaks a lot about him. And I've had, I keep hearing his name. But that really is like somehow very interesting that you moved to Bake and then Bake happened. But Bake really somehow broke open this entire new space for web series, where we have this new storyline which was not typically something that we see in Bollywood, which gave us this new breath of fresh air, where we have this normal conversation that Kamla Nagar or Bungalow Road would have, all those late night struggles of not being able to find food and everything. How did Baked happen, and how did all everything fall into the right place?
Man, I actually don't know so much about the ideation and the writing of it because I was not involved. Like, it was mostly written by Vishwajoy and Akash, who are friends of mine. But from what I know about how they came up with the concept is that these were all true incidents that happened to the writers. So
Okay.
they basically went through a lot of these things in their college time. And they kept it in their memory bank, and they were like, आगे जाके कुछ बनाना है, कहीं तो इसको डालना है, कि या तो इसकी मूवी बनाएंगे या web series बनाएंगे, and they eventually made it. And it exploded somehow. I don't know. We weren't, to be very honest, we weren't anticipating that it would explode. We were like, हाँ देख लेंगे शायद DU के लड़के. But did we know कि like within a week of it releasing, we'll be getting like sort of like dozens of people will come up to us at public places, ask for photos.
Okay.
It was quite an experience, especially in Delhi. I mean, it happened all over, but like people recognizing you and sort of coming up to you and associating you as an actor who they like, it's not something that a theater practitioner really expects will happen to them in their life. No, मतलब मैंने तो तब तक screen acting के बारे में सोचा भी नहीं था ज़्यादा. I
Right.
thought I'll act on stage, and अभी
Perfect.
unfortunately मैं stage पे काम करता ही नहीं हूँ.
Acha.
Most of my work is on screen.
But this is very interesting because I now have an opportunity to really learn a little bit about the theater part of your journey, because obviously we know a lot about your web series or the multiple videos that you've been on and the entertaining videos that we have all watched. But the theater part of your journey, how was that like? Did that somehow contribute in your journey, like professionally, or perhaps giving you a different perspective on things, on your craft, on your art?
Man, I think that we were very the kind of theater that we did. We were very sort of pragmatic. We weren't the kind of people who were sitting at Mandi House, Jola pen ke chai pite hain type. We were not those kind of people. We were always looking at theater also as a medium that we wanted to monetize. So,
Okay.
in fact, I would say I wasn't really that big an entity in the theater space, but Pranay Haris on the show actually had a company that was doing really well, and I started working with them. I started doing some plays with them. Pranay was doing really well. Kriti had done a lot of work on stage. Manik was doing a lot of work on stage. Malika Dua was doing really, really well on stage. She would do a lot of comedies, and she was killing it. Anybody who saw Malika or Pranay or these people do a play, right, or saw them act on stage, could immediately tell कि मतलब आगे जाके फटने वाले हैं लोग, आगे जाके
Absolutely.
there's no chance that work is not going to come. So it was very fortunate. Even Abhishek Chauhan, who right now is the lead in TVF Cubicles and Andekhi, and now he's done a movie called Bahut Hua Samman with Raghav Juel. But also our juniors from DU Theatre, like they worked with us. In fact, he was an assistant director on Bake.
Okay.
Abhishek. So what I'm saying is that the privilege of being in a university like Delhi with such a nice theatre culture is that we know so many people who we were doing theatre with, जो अभी आगे जाके क्या काम कर रहे हैं. Like we did, our theatre society had a guy called Akash Bhatia, who is now one of India's best ad filmmakers and directed Inside Edge season 2, which is a big web series.
Absolutely.
Right? And he's like the director on it, and वो हमारी theatre society का था, हमसे एक साल senior था. So generally to know कि Delhi में, if you end up getting into a theatre society and you actively become a good part of it, you will eventually be surrounded by people who are going to go forward in that industry or an allied industry, and they're going to excel. So that feels nice. That knowing that so many people who you see have made it right now have been a part of the same journey and you've been sort of around so many talented people right from the start. I feel like वो engineering colleges में और शायद medical colleges में, I don't know, law colleges में उतना शायद वो नहीं रहता, extracurricular exposure or being surrounded by the kind of people who are going to move forward. I don't know. Although most stand-up comedians are engineers these days, but
right, absolutely. But one, I think that is a very good plotline for any comic setup, being from an engineering college. But talking about your journey,
लोग भी नहीं मारते. मैं engineering से हूँ पे लाफ आ जाता है. They don't even के बाद कुछ नहीं. हाँ तो मैंने engineering करी, वो हंस रहे हैं नोएडा में लोग, वो कॉमेडी स्टोर वाले लोग पागल हो गया. मैंने भी किया है, छाती पीट के पागल हो रहे.
Yes, that is true. I think law school say the only good, like the prominent comic is Mr. Bassi, who is an alumni from my own university, and he's given us.
Oh, I don't know him. I don't know him at all, but I've seen his YouTube. He's huge, man.
Yes, absolutely.
He's very, very funny.
Absolutely.
I'll come back. Don't worry. Just give it 10 seconds and it should be back. This is me switching from one Wi-Fi to another.
Okay.
And this Wi-Fi is going to work. Chalo, Wi-Fi is back. You were talking about Bassi. Which law school did he go to?
Oh God, English. Come on, Kaustubh. He is from Dr. Ramanaloya National Law University. It is the university that I'm studying in right now. It's in Lucknow, RML and LU Lucknow. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Huh.
So yeah, I
Cool.
think that lays the groundwork for law students who perhaps want to explore comedy.
Actually, Ronak Rajani is also a lawyer, a very dear
Okay.
friend of mine. Ronak Rajani, who was on Comic
Mm-hmm.
Stan.
Yeah.
Not many people know this, but वो lawyer.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. I think this is somehow creating a very innovative sort of a culture, especially when we look at you, as you've mentioned, that you were part of a group where most of the members were moving in a particular direction. And as you build connections, it somehow helped you out, which is rather different from the normative understanding of how people break into perhaps movie making, writing, acting, and all of that. Outsiders, we have aspiration like that of Shah Rukh Khan or Rajkumar Rao, who are from outside, who have broken into the industry. But you've had a rather interesting sort of a setup. You've been relevant, you've been very much in the presence, yet you've been writing, you've been doing the creative work behind the scenes as well, working with some of the most interesting projects like PariWar. How has this been like? Has this movement into the industry, not majorly doing the Bollywood work but finding ground in OTT platforms, has it really worked out for you?
I don't know about whether it's really worked out for me, but I'll tell you how I look at it. So basically, for me, I knew when I was moving to Bombay to become an actor that no one's going to look at me and be like, इसको बहुत काम देने वाले हैं. Like यही तो शक्ल ढूंढ रहे थे हम, मिल गया हमें. इसको पोस्टरों पे लगवा दो हर जगह. Like that, I knew that wasn't going to happen. And one of my
Yeah.
acting trainers, this lady called Sharon Angela, who taught me most of what I know of acting. She was actually a cast member on The Sopranos, and she was my acting coach in LA. Said
Wow.
that, see, you eventually are going to have to write stuff for yourself.
Okay.
I made a decision then to go after the first season of Baked and go and do a master's in screenwriting. So I took the GRE, I got a scholarship, I went to this place called Syracuse University in New York. It's in upstate New York, and I did a Joe Biden वहीं से है, तो अभी क्या पता बहुत ही ज़्यादा famous हो जाए, but we did. I went and studied screenwriting and production because I had it at the back of my mind that I'm going to have to come back and create work for myself because this whole I don't know so much about this insider outsider because मेरे aspirations वो नहीं है, मेरे को नहीं नाचना है, you know. ना मेरे को कोई नाचने देगा. It's like even if I want to, still not. हाँ, मैंने decide कर लिया है कि मैं अब एक मसाला action movie करूँ. So I always looked at a few sort of set of people who inspired me in India. उसमें Rajat Kapoor है. I mean, Rajat Kapoor, of course. The work that he's done, we have to learn to disassociate the art from the man. I don't know how he's perceived now in a post-Me Too world, but Rajat Kapoor का काम मेरे को बहुत पसंद है as a writer, director, and actor. And Farhan Akhtar, of course. Farhan Akhtar, I feel, is a banging example, a great man of like in terms of the work that the benchmark that he has set for Bollywood. जैसे हम क्या टट्टी बना रहे थे 80s 90s में यार, वो सबसे बड़ा खिलाड़ी, इंटरनेशनल खिलाड़ी, मिस्टर एंड मिस, लाइक अक्षय कुमार ने खुद ही 17 एक ही फ्रेंचाइज की फिल्मों में हग है. वक्त हमारा है, यू नो, फिल्म्स जिसके प्लॉट कुछ भी होते थे कि कर्नल चिकारा क्रिप्टॉन बॉम्ब लेके इंडिया आ चुके हैं, ये तो पिक्चर है. He made दिल चाहता है in that same era and he changed everything. And then he made Laksh, which was even better, I thought. And then he made Dawn, which was great. Then he wrote dialogues on films like Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. He acted in Luck by Chance or whatever, Fakir of Venice, Rock On, ye wo. I was always like, this is the guy you gotta be. Like, you clearly don't have the pedigree or say even the sort of versatility that he has. But अपने level पे लिखना शुरू करो, acting शुरू करो. So ideally, what I would want to do is every year act in one project and have it released, write one project, have it released, direct one project, have it released. And this is very easy to accomplish in a 4 to 6 months of work a year. And उससे ज़्यादा करना नहीं है. उससे ज्यादा करने का मन भी नहीं है. Like I know a lot of people want to hustle and like constantly be busy. I like reading, I like napping, I like watching. अगर देखोगे नहीं तो फिर point क्या है? You have to watch film. So I watch one movie every day. I watch TV.
Wow.
I read. I sleep अच्छे से 8-9 घंटे. Cycling करता हूँ. I have like a बच्चे का schedule. Like TV time, cycling time, tennis coaching करता हूँ. Like I've got so, and that's very important because if you don't do that, then you're not going to have the good ideas.
Right. And has this been like after the lockdown, or perhaps was this a continuous project for you, like a daily routine that you have developed for yourself for a couple of years?
अभी मैंने बॉम्बे में जाके खराब हो गया था actually routine मेरा. You know what had happened was I moved to Bombay, and when I actually first moved to Bombay, I was working for All India Bakchod as a writer, actor. First as a writer, then I was like done in 3 months. I was like, chalo, I want to move on, and I started doing my own thing. But they were very nice, all of them, like all the employee, like all the like creative heads, like Vishal Dayama, Devaya Bopanna, Girish Narayan Das. These are all my closest friends, like such super close friends. And they were very supportive when I moved to Bombay in terms of giving me acting work. So they cast me in a lot of really nice, really big sketches, you know, where I became friends with guys like Kumar Varun and Naveen Polishetty. We started acting together, chilling together, grabbing a drink every now and then together. You know, it became nice. And what happened was after I left that job and when I was doing this freelance, kabhi sketch kar liya, kabhi kuch branded kar liya, audition de diye 2-3, I realized there are many days jab tum bas pade hue ho, you know, you wake up and like this is a thing that a person who has a job will not ever have to deal with. Because उनका मोटिवेशन और उनका डिसिप्लिन उनका बॉस उनकी मतलब उनके अंदर डालता है ना प्रॉपरली. लाइक हमारे पास तो है नहीं वो, हमारे पास नहीं. लाइक इफ आई चूज टू हैव ब्रेकफास्ट एंड स्लीप I very much can. So you need to be extra disciplined to make sure that you're not doing that. It took me a long time to realize that the fact that you're doing an offbeat sort of unconventional career doesn't mean you need to lead an offbeat unconventional lifestyle. So I have a lot of very normal societal expectations of myself. Like तू normal जिंदगी जी, तू शाम को walk पे जाएगा parents के साथ, you know, parents को मिलेगा, शादी करेगा, बच्चे करेगा. I have a lot of that sort of thing. So I've always been fairly this, you know, कि घर लेना है, ये करना है, गाड़ी लेनी है, ड्राइवर रखना है, 28 की उम्र में शादी करनी है, बच्चे करने हैं थोड़े कुछ टाइम में जाके, you know, a lot of this. I don't know why I have it. Maybe it's to prove a point कि देखो offbeat career वाले भी normal track पे. हाँ, not all of us need to fucking grow our hair long and go to Goa and sit there. मैंने डिसाइड कर लिया मैं गोवा में रहूंगा और सिर्फ डॉक्यूमेंट्री फिल्में बनाऊंगा टर्टल्स के बारे में. नहीं बेटा नहीं, ये मत करो तुम.
Oh my God.
कर लो. बट टिंडर पे अपना IMDb लगा के जो बायो में मैं सपोर्टिंग रोल में आया हूँ in Diya और Bati Hum, and I have also done the theaters also.
Right.
I have also done the theaters also in Goa. But anyway.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think the idea that anyone who's working in this, I'm sorry, I'm just sweating a lot. I just said it's really hot in Lucknow, and I've been laughing a lot. I tend to sweat a lot when I laugh a lot.
I would suggest cutting your hair. अगर तेरे को इतने पसीने आते हैं वाले भी खुश हो जाएंगे. अच्छे नीट बाल भी नीट.
The place that I'm interning right now would be the happiest. Like every time some client comes into the chamber, they're like, "Cause to bar, देखना नहीं आसपास."
रोज तू गुल पनाग के बाल लेके अंदर घुस जाता.
Oh God, I'm going for a haircut today. This was the wake-up call. But it is fascinating to know that people working in the creative field perhaps can have a normal lifetime, because all that we have seen is that actors, writers, directors, they work 24/7. They have high busy
और वो वीड्स पीते हैं, वीड पीते हैं। अभी तो न्यूज ने भी बता दिया है कि सब वीड करते रहते हैं पूरे दिन, बस पड़े रहते हैं, झूमते रहते हैं वीड करके।
Oh God, with
Because you know, lawyers तो फूकते नहीं है,
absolutely not.
लॉयर तो फूकते नहीं है, इंजीनियर तो फूकते नहीं है, सिर्फ हम ही हैं बदनसीब। Like all these dealers ना वो सूंघ लेते हैं, वो एक एक्टर जा रहा है, बोला उसको तो एक्टर है।
Oh God, perfect. All these statements have been made with no prejudice whatsoever to any such form of disclaimer. I'm just saying this out loud.
Full prejudice, full prejudice. फुल प्रेजुडिस के साथ बोल रहा हूँ मैं, पागल है। नो प्रेजुडिस कैसी बातें होती हैं? फुल प्रेजुडिस।
Perfect. But oh my God, this is perhaps the most that I've laughed in the last couple of months together. But
क्या हो यार, बहुत सैड गया यार, रोज हंसना चाहिए पागल।
Good thing. I think I'm going to pitch this idea to everyone who lives around me now, that please make me laugh for like 2-3 minutes every day. But anyone who's perhaps trying to break into this, because there has been a difference, sort of a tangible shift that has been observed in the kind of reception that is being observed. Audience is really looking forward to the original content which is coming out on the OTT platforms. We've seen, I think one of my favorite recent web series has been Quota Factory by TBF. They've done some really groundbreaking work. How's that transformation? Somehow is it hinting for a industrial transformation for you, where people would now really focus on the original, genuine, classy content on perhaps OTT platforms?
Quota Factory is also one of my favorite web series.
Yeah.
I messaged the director when I saw it कि bro मेरे लिए कुछ लिख दे यार, please, I really want to audition for something that you make, because it was so well made. It was such a well made show.
Absolutely.
Even actually TVF के 3-4 show मेरे को, I think recently they've killed. Panchayat was amazing.
Yeah.
Quota Factory was amazing. Hostel Days was amazing. Ye Meri Family was amazing. Cubicles was damn good.
Yeah.
चलो इतने ही है, 5 शो तो बोल दिया मैंने। हाँ, they basically they make very good shows. I think the problem I think is some like the problem is, it's not so much of a problem. I mean, it's definitely the industry is opened up. So to answer your question, yes, it has helped. There are the fact that people like me can write, like people like me who can just straight up decide to write my first project, and I can get great actors like Gajraj Rao, Vijay Raj, Yashpal Sharma to act in it is a privilege which wouldn't have existed अगर digital नहीं होता तो। मैं मेरे words उनके मुंह से निकलना, you know, to see that, the pleasure of having to see these people say your lines is very, very good. So that in terms of that, yes, as an actor, I feel like yes, it has opened up the number of auditions that I get. So now the auditions that I get are of course of for whatever sort of lead roles, primary characters with bigger directors, you know, like A-listers ke saath auditions and all come. But I also feel like at a certain level what's happening with the digital industry is like something that we had feared a long time ago, right? Like a lot of like the has-beens from the film industry
dropping down,
who genuinely did not float around there for too long, because it's a low risk medium to invest in a web show with them. I feel like unpe bahut dal dete. Like of course it has revived some careers that definitely needed revival, like Saif Ali Khan, who I think is by far the best, like from that generation, by far the best star come actor jo India mein hai. Like people tease me for how big of a fan I am of his. Love his work. But अभी like मैं साल में कितने बॉबी देओल के प्रोजेक्ट्स देखूं यार, like you know, like especially जब वो like दूसरे अच्छे actor के पेट पे लात मार के. I mean, good, yeah. If he's got a fan base and you have to make content with him, sure. But if
Absolutely.
it's eventually gonna become like a breeding ground, like for like I don't know, low risk properties with to revive
Mm-hmm.
careers that we are not completely sure even need that revival. I'm not very sure if that's the best
Right.
direction to go in, because I
Mm-hmm.
know for a fact that if a dharma walks into say a top platform's office
Mm-hmm.
and goes to them with a Radhi script,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
50, like crazy amounts of money will get thrown at it to be produced.
Mm-hmm.
Or not only them, like even any of these big guys. Like I don't know why they pick on Dharma so much. They've pretty
Mm-hmm.
much not done. But I'm saying any of these A-list production companies, if they go to a platform, there's
Mm-hmm.
clearly more trust now because they've already made the big film. They've already made stuff that's connected with audiences, so it's easy to make. So has it
Okay.
truly democratized um,
Mm-hmm.
the content making sphere in terms of can I walk in and demand the same money that say an established film producer will demand? No. Why? Because the decision making heads
Mm-hmm.
right now have not evolved. Right now, what's happened is a lot of these digital production companies and platform heads are all like mostly TV guys, because they can't.
Okay.
अभी बच्चों को नहीं बना सकते ना. अभी who will take a young
Right.
TV fellow? Who will pick up? Like ideally, the
Mm-hmm.
considering the work that say these Samir Saxenas and Amit Golanis and these Tanmay Bhatts and all have done,
Mm-hmm.
they should be the ones who should be calling the shots कि Netflix इस साल क्या बना रहा है कि Prime इस साल क्या बना रहा है, because
Mm-hmm.
they have the best sort of grasp and understanding of the content sphere.
Right.
I'm not sure abhi India has completely transitioned in terms of the green lighting of projects. क्या करेंगे ना
Okay.
मेरे को लगता है, and it's a fear that I have,
Mm-hmm.
that soon, in order to increase the penetration of digital content into smaller B tier and C tier
Mm-hmm.
centers,
Right.
web series are slowly going to start resembling television. It's going to happen. Like
Okay.
if you notice, um, in fact, I feel like honestly, even PariWar could have been on sub TV. Like
Okay.
it could have been,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the kind of demand they have. People want to penetrate the family audiences that have that geo connection and are watching on their phone
Mm-hmm.
in a
Mm-hmm.
village or a small town, right? और वो sacred games नहीं देखते, वो नहीं
Absolutely.
देखेंगे,
Mm-hmm.
वो Delhi crime भी नहीं देखेंगे या whatever. I guess that's why Mirzapur is the success that it is, right? It like sort
Yeah.
of bridges
Mm-hmm.
that gap beautifully, where it's aspirational content and it like sort of also caters to like that base audience of India.
Right.
उसीलिए
Right.
क्या crazy numbers करते हैं वैसे तो.
Right, right. When you talk about this aspirational content, and this is something that I'm asking from as a perspective that any viewer would carry, perhaps because the reason why one would go to an OTT platform when you look at them, what I have personally observed is that TV shows like or web series like perhaps Panchayat or Quota Factory or even like Mirzapur, they give us something that TV shows that we have on perhaps various channels and all, they are very traditional. They don't give us that kind of an originality, the rustic, bucolic sort of a taste that we could have from a village or a real sort of a depiction of how things work. And so when we talk about youngsters who are entering this industry, and is like someone who would come to you and ask for suggestions, who perhaps want to venture into writing or wants to start with some project or wants to perhaps take up acting or something and wants to understand how this industry is going to evolve later in future as well with some conceptual understanding, how would you like perhaps advise to that one particular person that how is this going to happen for him or her?
Man, I don't know in terms of
Mm-hmm.
industry shifts में मेरा understanding काफी limited है. Like I
Okay.
honestly have not been able to. I wouldn't have called digital. I wouldn't have called any of this. I wouldn't have. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have seen. I don't. I lack a great deal of foresight, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
But the advice I'd give to anyone who wants to write and be in this city and make money as a writer and make shows, and I'm saying this, I wouldn't have honestly spoken about it because if I hadn't had a show out. because I feel like there are a lot of people in this industry who don't write and they talk a lot, and they talk a lot about content and digital content, and I find it extremely irritating that there are a lot of people who talk about digital content despite the fact that they are just actors. Like they have just acted in a web series, like they've been cast by a casting director. उन्होंने तो वैसे ही कर लिया जैसे मूवी मिलती या टीवी शो मिलता, वो सेट पे जाके लाइंस बोल के उन्होंने कुछ किया है. Now I feel like I'm in a couple of writers' rooms and I have certain relationships with production companies where they know me as a writer. So I'd say my only advice would be don't be married to any one idea, because you could be thinking that you're sitting on some masterpiece that's going to be the next whatever Boys or Sacred Games or Game of Thrones, but नहीं है वो. तुम्हारा आइडिया उतना अच्छा नहीं है. कोई भी आइडिया उतना अच्छा नहीं होता. लाइक मैं ऐसे आइडियाज लेके अंदर गया हूँ मीटिंग में, सो बोल के कि भाई ये देखो, this we're winning an international Emmy for, ये this will be right. और बने ही नहीं है, पड़े हुए हैं कहीं कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में, अभी पता उनके मेल आने बंद हो गए. So I would say कि always sort of diversify, like SIPs and investments. Always have 5 चीजें जो तुम कर रहे हो एज अ राइटर, 5 में से एक तो निकल के कुछ काम देगी तुम्हें, एक का तो कुछ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट निकलेगा या डेवलपमेंट डील निकलेगा, बट मिनिमम 5 चाहिए टू मेक वन वर्क फॉर मी. मे बी लाइक आमिर खान कैन डू वन एंड एक्सीड and do really well with that, but वो आमिर है. And many. So
I saw that. I caught that.
I'll do 5. Yeah, basically just do a lot. Mera to, like for me, I've realized it's such a hit and miss, trial and error type of funda. I am constantly auditioning for work, trying to see. I audition for ads. I acted in a bunch of ad campaigns for Zomato, for Netflix, for Vodafone. In fact I did an entire campaign of 12 films for Vodafone. And I'm like, see, that was my biggest paycheck. I was like, इस साल मैं ad के auditions दे रहा हूँ क्योंकि मन कर रहा है, तो उस साल मैंने अपने सारे पैसे ads से कमा लिए. So then 1 year was just ads, 1 year I was just doing comedy sketches. This year I wrote a show, so I'm writing another show based off. Because of that, people have asked me to do some more writing work. I've got an acting project that's releasing that I told you I can't talk about, which is obviously gonna come and create a lot of excitement. I'm very, very, very excited because it's kick-ass. It's really, really nice. It's way better than the first.
Absolutely.
Way better.
Absolutely. I think if we talk about the most expected of the things that we want to see on internet, I think one of them is pictures and the other is baked. There is absolutely no way that anyone is going to miss them. I think baked really sort of laid the groundwork, which also somehow allows me to ask you about this new project of yours, PariWar, because I'm really interested in knowing, working with such established actors. Like, I can't name one because there are so many. There's so many working for PariWar, and all these actors bringing such depth in acting. We look at them as the genuine actors, as we say in the Bollywood, the ones who are the real actors. What was that experience like for you to work with them and to craft this entire show that we have created?
I won't lie. There is a lot of emotional baggage and egos that come with stardom. Okay. Like from wherever I've seen. Hey, but Vijay Raj, Gajraj Rao, and Yashpal Sharma, zero airs. They are the most down-to-earth, humble, nice people I've worked with. In fact, on that cast, Vijay Raj, fantastic man. Gajraj Rao, I love. Like, I personally love the man. Every time I met him, we like friends. He's really sweet. Gajraj Rao is really nice. Yashpal Sharma, I would say one of the most underrated actors in India आज के ज़माने में. Then one of my मेरा भाई Kumar Varun, who's on the show.
Yes.
Abhishek Banerjee, such a versatile actor. Again, someone who's he's a proper guy to study, because that dude is one of the best casting directors in the country, one of the better actors, can do comedy, can do negative characters. He's got so much range and versatility as a man and as an actor. Nidhi Singh, all of them. I think I've named all but one. Anyway, that's fine. But anyway,
Oh my God. I just want this part of the video to go viral so that I get a lot of traction on my podcast. That's my selfish interest invested in this. This must create some controversy for my podcast. Oh, but perfect.
नहीं ऐसा नहीं.
Oh God. Okay. Devanshu sir had warned me about this. And I don't think you would be speaking much. I think you'll be laughing. Good. But I think this is really interesting. One major question, I think one of my last questions about the very fact that today, if someone was to follow a game plan or perhaps follow your footsteps, how would you provide them with, is there any certain tips and tricks that one can use to perhaps follow certain guidelines, go to certain people, certain kind of people, or find certain kind of mentorship so that they can make into this industry a little faster, a little more conducive in a way that they find themselves in a better position?
Finding a mentor is important. I feel like I've had multiple mentor-like characters in my life. Devaya Bopanna, who is the head writer of was the head writer of AIB. I would consider him to be a current mentor in my life.
Right.
Tanmay, I guess at some level was back in the day. Tanmay, Roshan Abbas. There are a lot of people I really look up to. I really look up to Cyrus Sahukar. I really look up to, like, all these are people I've been friends with, I'm friends with, and I've also know that they come from so much industry experience that there are only two things that I think I've learned from all of them that you should not be. You should not be cynical and you should not be delusional. Or ये दो चीजें, if you are not, because that's the natural instinct for someone in a city like Bombay, that's what it'll do to you, right? Like it'll, or in fact any city, any industry, हम भी बॉम्बे को चढ़ा के क्या हम अजीब importance दे देते हैं बॉम्बे को, but any city, I feel like any industry, you'll have two ways of looking at any tough time ना. Either you'll be cynical saying कि अबे कुछ नहीं होता, जो बैठ जाए यार, छोड़, कुछ नहीं होने वाला, और you're like बस ब्रो अभी एक इंटरव्यू आया है, बस उससे अभी एक लीड रोल निकलेगा, फिर वो मुकेश छाबड़ा ऑफिस बुला रहा है मेरे को, क्या पता यार वो सपोर्टिंग रोल के लिए बुला रहा है, बट लॉन्च हो जाऊं तो यार फिर सेट हूं, डांस क्लासेस ले रहा हूं मैं, फाइटिंग क्लासेस. I'm like अबे रिलैक्स, तू लॉन्च नहीं हो रहा है, you know, you need to know. तू नहीं यार, तू हीरो नहीं बनेगा. I'm saying that basically balance your expectations and your aspirations and your motivation. ये तीन चीजें हैं. अगर तुम, your expectations from the city, your aspirations within yourself, and your motivation which is within yourself. अगर तुम्हारा aspiration इधर है but तुम्हारा motivation इधर है, तो तुम्हारा कटेगा basically. There's no way that someone who's there's a mismatch between their aspiration and motivation is going to do well. So you have to be very conscious of the fact कि मेरे को इतना चाहिए to feel like I have arrived. And उसके beyond, always have a game plan. Always be like, I think the trick is to like blend ambition and pragmatism. If you can do that, you're in a sort of safe space. वरना क्या है?
Right. Perfect.
बहुत आसान है यार. राम गोपाल वर्मा येड़ा हो गया है, देखा नहीं तुमने? इतनी अच्छी पिक्चर है बना के, अभी कैसी उसका ट्विटर देखा है, पागल हो गया पूरी तरह.
Oh God. But
अभी भी अंधेरी बार में जो एक वोडका का ग्लास लेके पड़ा होता है, मैं ही 5 बार देख चुका हूँ, तो पहचानने लग गया वो.
For real though, like you run into
which
him.
makes me question, मैं इतना क्या कर रहा हूँ बाहर.
I like
राम गोपाल वर्मा एक दूसरे को पहचानने लगे भाई. ये कौन? राम गोपाल वर्मा आज किसी दूसरे इंटरव्यू में मेरे बारे में बात कर रहा है. अबे वो शांतनु बार में पड़ा रहता है भाई, 5 बार देखा मैं.
I like how these conversations suddenly turn into neat kind of realization of life. Quite nice. But वो जो traditional struggles होते हैं जो youngsters के, has that somehow come down or has been moderated in a way, या फिर struggles is
हो रहे होंगे यार, हो रहे होंगे, मेरे को पता नहीं है honestly. मेरे को पता नहीं है वो कहाँ हो रहे हैं. कौन कर रहा है, कहाँ पे कर रहा है, देखना पड़ेगा थोड़ा, like सब, like I'm sure, like you're talking about like the बंदे जो बॉडी बना के बॉम्बे पहुंच जाते हैं ना हीरो बनने,
Yes.
those type, like
True.
strugglers, right? Like
Yeah,
full on, like
struggles.
what the
Yeah.
term struggler is. हाँ यार, that's a very tough space to be in, like generally, because see, most of them are like doing, you know what cold calling is, right? At work, like when you cold call a client and you're like, हाँ, sorry, आपको यूरेका फोर्ब्स का नया वाला UV, whatever. They are literally doing that at casting offices. So there's an area called Aram Nagar in Andheri, where all the casting offices are, from like ये बड़े फिल्में to छोटे TV shows to regional shows to ये to वो, everyone is in this एक मैदान है basically जहाँ बच्चे बीच में क्रिकेट खेलते हैं, and along literally it's a मैदान जिसके around छोटे huts बने हैं, और ये लोग पूरा बॉडी बना के सुबह वे प्रोटीन शेक वेक पी के निकल जाते हैं ऐसे, and they're like knock sir, fit not fit. And the thing is they deal with so much rejection, like I as in I'm it seems like I'm making fun of it, but the honest fact is I could never do it. I could never, like, even if I was that type of person, like that that Hrithik Roshan, Vidyut Jamwal type, whatever archetype of a Bollywood hero that exists in our mind, if I was that person, I would still not be able to knock on doors, because well, life में इतना rejection है, extra ढूंढने क्यों जाएंगे लोग, you know? भाई साहब मुझे मना कीजिए एक बार, just say no to me, कैसे रहोगे यार तुम, you can't survive, it's very hard. That's why I think for people to, that's why, you know, like while there's a lot of like this, while there's a lot of outcry and a lot of support for Sushant and the journey that he had to reach the great level that he reached, which was fantastic, people don't appreciate the fact that, you know, it's a lot easier to become a character actor in Bollywood. How much ever of a struggle it will be. Like Nawazuddin Siddiqui, of course, for 10, 11 years, he didn't like get work, and he was struggling, and he's a great actor and all of that, and he does his work very well. And they've built up that rags to riches story of his. But people don't talk about guys like Kartik Aaryan, because a guy like Kartik Aaryan, the kind of films he does and the kind of roles he does has the most competition. Like there are so many guys who come for that one role, you know, and it's a case जहाँ तुमने वो एक गलत movie कर लिया and you're fucked. You're completely gone. And this dude has literally come out of nowhere. And now, of course, there's मतलब गाली देने को तो किसी को भी गाली दे सकते हो कि तेरी पिक्चर है सेक्सिस्ट है, प्यार का पंचनामा में female bashing, whatever, all of that does hold true, or whatever it is, there is some problematic messaging in Love Ranjan cinema, but that's not to be looked. What you need to look at is Kartik Aaryan के odds of succeeding are way lesser than even a Nawaz or a Pankaj Tripathi, because Nawaz and Pankaj Tripathi are looking at a certain skilled subset of actors, right? They're looking at this that non-traditional sort of
representation,
carrying the burden of those 60 crore budget on your shoulder type, जो ये लोग आते, जो कार्तिक आर्यन को उठाना पड़ता है, like it's literally one wrong move and you're fucked. Like it's literally that for a guy like him. So there's in fact I was reading somewhere, because I had this like last 2-3 months में when people were discussing this, I was like, अच्छा अभी तो बहुत support है, but people don't praise Kartik Aaryan for being an outsider. People don't talk about the fact that he's broken in from nowhere, because that's where the dichotomy is. Na? They want outsiders to come in. They're proud of outsiders coming in. But if an outsider makes it and works with an insider, they hate the outsider for working with the insider also. जैसे I read आयुष्मान खुराना को कोई नेपोटिज्म का आर्गुमेंट कि आयुष्मान खुराना चापलूस है, वो धर्मा और यशराज के साथ काम करता है. I'm like, dude, that dude was a roadie.
Wasn't
that was a roadie, bro.
Yeah.
Was not the point to do the big films, the big releases? And for a guy who's come from Chandigarh as a roadie, has been an MC, a host, how can you pull that guy down? Like he's clearly like possibly one of the guys we should celebrate the most, if at all.
True. I think but this gives right, please.
No, I was just saying that on this whole outsider insider thing, I don't think it's ever going to get easier to become a film star, because if you're looking to if you're looking to become someone who wants to dance and sing for and make crores and crores, why should it be easy? Why the fuck should that be easy? You know, people are really struggling to make ends meet. People are really working 3 4 jobs to feed their families and are starving. You know, like
True.
people are walking from Bombay back to their villages in UP and Bihar right now because of the lockdown, man. और तेरे को लगता है कि because your journey into dancing in a khet to make 5 crores as a hero is an arduous one or a tiring one, we need to celebrate you? Fuck that. No.
Right.
तूने एक लाइफस्टाइल चॉइस करी है जिसमें तू हंसी खुशी करोड़ों रुपए कमाना चाहता है हर साल. कोई तेरे को प्लेटर पे नहीं देगा. बहुत लोग वो दुकान डाल के बैठे हैं और हर दुकानदार अपने बेटे को ही ताला और चाबी देगा ना अपनी दुकान की. कोई कोई लाला जब अपनी दुकान बंद करता है वो सड़क में थोड़ी चलाने लगता है, भाई साहब यहाँ पे सबसे ज्यादा पोटेंशियल किसके पास है, अच्छा दुकानदार बनने का, जरा दिखाना, मैं मेरिटोक्रेसी का मरीज हूँ. कोई बोलेगा थोड़ी है, तू बेटे को ही चाबी देके जाएगा ना घर.
मेरिटोक्रेसी का मरीज हूँ. Perfect. That's there goes my LinkedIn bio. मैं मेरिटोक्रेसी का मरीज हूँ. Perfect. All right. I think this has been one of the most fun conversations that I've had ever in my entire life. Like, okay, fine, I'm the saddest person on this planet, but this is the most fun conversation I've had. But my last question to you is, I promise I won't take much of your time anymore.
नहीं, last question तो अच्छा है ना. Last question मतलब खत्म हो रहा है. The best conversation of your life is coming to an end.
Oh, great.
लंबा question पूछना.
Maybe, sir, I'll ask a very small question. I'm hoping for a long ass answer. That's what I'm going for here. The question is, what do you see for yourself in future? What all things do you see happening for Mr. Shantanu Anam happening in future? Are you still going to pursue writing, creative and back sort of a creative sort of an atmosphere? Are you going to wage into acting, or what is going to happen? What are we to expect more out of you?
I think I want to do I think I definitely want to do both.
Okay.
I want to write and I want to act for OTTs as it stands.
Right.
And I also want to get back to working on stage. I've left that.
Okay.
I've let that go for a long time, and I think that's something that's very important. I don't know. मेरे को एक साल the goalposts keep changing. Actually, you know, I've realized. मेरे को right now I just want to create content and act in content. So I want to write shows. I want to produce shows. I want to act shows. I want to be like a overweight digital Farhan Akhtar is my goal in life. और वो भी हटा दूंगा, बॉडी भी बना लूंगा 6 महीने में. But I want to basically have the freedom to be able to make any work that I do. And I want to reach a stage where I can call the shots on what I want to work in, like, you know, so that I can choose those 3 projects a year that I work on.
Right.
And I want to spend my time the way I like to. Like, I don't want to work every day 12 months a year. I don't want to do it. Even if it means being the biggest star in India, I will never do it. Like, it's not my thing. Like, I'd rather have some gin and tonic with friends, or Ram Gopal Verma, or
oh God,
or
right.
read a book or something. Could पीट रहा है तेरे को background में?
नहीं, there's just a knock on the door. It's a all right. So I think I owe you an explanation for
वापस कर दिया पैसे. वापस कर दिया पैसे.
No, I wish it was for that. It's just that no one knows that I'm recording here. I do not have that on-air sort of thing on my door, and my dog is here in my room right now. And my brother was supposed to take my dog out, and he thought my dog is locked in the room all by himself for some reason, and he started beating that up. So I have some business to take care of after this conversation gets over.
Please go and take care of your business.
No. Dude, I just have to tell him that when there's a door locked, there's not always a dog inside. There's someone who's recording an episode for your podcast.
That's to get back to finishing your last question ka answer.
Please.
I don't know where I see myself. and I don't really have that bigger plan also. I
Okay.
want to be able to create work, I want to be able to write, and I want to be able to act in it, and I want to do some cool work, like if I could do even say 3 or 4 projects that really get remembered, like which get which become as landmark as I would say to an extent baked is. Even if I have 3 4 projects, and if I spend maybe the next 5 10 years of my life doing that, I can also see myself doing a lot of other things. Personally, I can also see myself teaching. I can see myself doing a PhD in like maybe film studies or something. I love films.
Right.
I like consuming it. I like studying it. So maybe, I don't know, when I'm 40, I can see myself do a PhD in film studies and maybe look at
Wow.
um, sort of looking at a professorial gig somewhere, teaching film, watching films with kids, talking to them about it. But वो सब अभी के लिए नहीं है. Abhi, I think the immediate goal is the next 10 years. Like I turn 30 in December. 30 to 40, जितना काम कर सकते हो,
Right.
कर लो. Like 10 years, write, act, direct, produce as much as you can. And with that exposure, you go and try and seek something slightly more academic later. Because it doesn't
Okay.
help to just study and get a PhD, especially in a field like ours. My mom has 2 PhDs. My dad's about to get it. So
Right.
I've got the academia bug in the
Mm-hmm.
family. तो पढ़ूंगा PhD तो करूंगा लाइफ में, but
Right.
अभी नहीं करूंगा. Maybe 10 साल बाद. So next 10 years I'll hopefully be very visible and in a
Perfect.
lot of stuff.
Right. Right. I think that is something which is so refreshing to hear, especially from someone who is already involved in a creative atmosphere and with respect to someone who's looking forward to a lifestyle, which is a lifestyle that we can relate to and perhaps we can also aspire for. A conversation that will definitely add so much value to anyone who will watch my podcast, and for the first time ever on my podcast with all these 67 episodes that I've released, laugh for once and have a good time watching a conversation. But this has been incredible on so many levels. Do you have any closing remarks for our listeners?
Yes. नहीं है actually, but it's fine. Thank you guys. Please follow. I'll tell you. ये करना पड़ता है. ये जरूरी है. मैंने देखा है ऐसे बहुत content में. कर ये. Please follow One Take Podcast guys and Kaustubh Srivastav on Instagram and watch all his and subscribe, like, and follow to check
Right.
all updates on all the other interesting podcasts that he has on his channel.
Right.
मैं क्लियरली करने वाला हूँ वो आज, तो आप लोग भी करो. एंड ऑल्सो वॉच दिस इफ यू हैव द टाइम एंड इफ हिज एडिट इज नाइस.
I think one very important thing that I have to say is that this is the episode, I think, which will give my podcast the break that it has very much needed. And this part of the conversation will be used as a template in the beginning of every episode of my podcast. This is going out every time. But incredible, perfect. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for this
थैंक्स मैन
opportunity.
कौस्तुभ, इट वाज एन एब्सोल्यूट प्लेजर. यू
Thank
कैन
you.
स्टॉप रिकॉर्डिंग और मैं
Right.
तेरे को सच में बताता हूँ मुझे कैसा लगा.
Right.